This is called mass dance. When I was teaching at Harvard School of Dance in the summertime from 85 to 94, thereabouts, I had all these phenomenal students that would come into New York, and I wanted to make a mass dance. And I wanted to make a mass dance with these physioballs. And I did, and I just thought with more people moving, we'd create more force and we'd be almost graphic, and it would create a landscape that changed all the time. And of course, the balls turned out to be quite irascible and uncontrollable, and these weren't really trained dancers, so it was kind of a mess. But I had a whole lot of fun doing it, and I worked at it as hard as I could to see if it could become like a much more elegant, gorgeous, shocking thing. I wasn't thinking river dance at the time, but I wanted to have the timing be so accurate that you couldn't believe that was happening. And it never really transcended looking like more than just kind of a collaborative mess. When I first started working on London Eye with the rig that Robin had, Robin Elias, our rigger from Unusual Hardware in London, we just had a pipe that was vertical, a pipe that was diagonal, and a pipe that was horizontal. And we were creating vocabulary on each of these orientations in space, because as London Eye turned, the effect of gravity on these different positions of these pipes, allowed for a different vocabulary, but it also allowed for just complete mayhem, because they also were able, on the radii that they were on was 200 feet. I mean, the London Eye is 495 feet in the air, something crazy like that. I don't know exactly. But I thought this is really the clumsiest dance I've ever made. And then I realized we had to make a prototype called the LERU, London Eye Rehearsal Unit, so that they would know exactly what was happening. So we, Hudson Scenic, Neil Mazzella built it for us. It was gorgeous. We knew it would be a one-time only thing. It got performed in Paternoster Square. But as we brought it into Slam, and they got on that, only 8 people could get on it, not 32. If we hadn't had that, we would never have been able to get on the London Eye and make a dance. And I didn't really succeed in making that dance till sometime late in rehearsal in July 2012, just before we were going to take it over to Paternoster Square. So it really was a long, long time figuring out what's the vocabulary in this situation. And it really reached a zenith when we had the LERU in there. Another dance that remained a fantasy dance for years and years, and it was called Like a Liquid. And my idea was it would be a solo for me, and there would be these containers, and I would choose all different kinds of liquids that had distinct viscosities, and they would fall in their own way and create a rhythm and manifest issues about timing and mass and constitution that I was never able to represent on stage before. Years later, after Like a Liquid never got performed because nobody wanted to do it in a theater, I invented something called a Guck Machine for a collaboration I did with Anne Bogart that was called Falling and Loving. And these are 3 rings that totally had 54 buckets, 5-gallon buckets filled with every imaginable kind of guck, whether it be confetti or dirt or sugar or molasses or water or flour, etc., etc., etc. And there were 54 strings, and the dancers were avoiding bowling balls as they were flying around on this square here, and just everything was falling the entire time, and it was one of the most glorious things you could have ever imagined. And at first, I have to say, nobody likes to get messy or dirty or have the ground they're on be slippery, as slippery and more so than a banana peel. But as time went on, it became a more frolicky thing. But I found myself having to keep pushing people to pull more strings, and it was one of my, I was in my heyday as far as I'm concerned, although I've had quite a few heydays, I'm quite happy to say.